Good morning, chameleons, or good afternoon, whenever you are going to be listening to our Danger Gang. Now, we have got two more chapters left of our book, so we will be able to get through this, and then we will have a new book when we get back to school on next Monday, which I'm so excited to see you all. So we've got November left. We were just reading about October, where they had the pumpkin incident, and it was very similar to Willy Wonka with blueberry, Violet Beauregard kind of thing that happened, but obviously orange this time. But we've also just found out about Frankie finally admitting that he is in love with Danny because he's afraid of what is going to happen to him. But I can already see from glancing at the page that Danny is okay, and the chapter of November happens. November, dear Danny. How funny was my last letter? I wasn't being serious, right? I'm such a joker these days. What am I like? I was all like, I love you and stuff. Totally not true. I mean, you're cool and everything and still my best friend, but I haven't been like in love with you since the second we met. Of course not. Remember every detail of your smile as if. Do I know the specific shape of the 8 tiny moles on your face that you hate but I think are really nice? I don't even know you had 8 moles. We're just mates, all right? Anyway, according to your last letter, which I've just read, you have a boyfriend now. That's so great. I'm really happy for you. Have you held his hand yet? Gross. Not that I care or anything. I just want to know because we're friends. My last letter was almost jokes about me loving you, but something freakishly actually did happen when I wasn't sure I was going to make it. I better tell you what happened. I was in class, about to write the date on the top of my page, when through the classroom window I saw a van pulling up to the school car park. It looked like an ordinary van, but something about the logo on the side felt really familiar. Then I remembered the name, Shadowtech. It was the science company my mum used to work for before they let her go. I thought it was weird that they're in the car park of my new school, and then I saw a man get out and open the back of the van. From the classroom, I couldn't get a good look at his face. It was half in the shadow and he was wearing really dark sunglasses that cover up his features. In November. Suspicious, right? If there was ever a guy who was up to no good, it was this one. He looked like Dr. Vendetta. Seriously, my heart stopped when I saw him. I was like, no way. And then my brain was like, chill out, Frankie. Doctor isn't real. And I was like, oh yeah, thanks. But this guy was so obviously a baddie, and I quickly drew his sketch of him just in case I needed it for evidence later. So he's got jet black hair and sunglasses, and an earpiece, a really smart suit, and fingerless gloves. See what I mean? He was 100% a bad guy. I could just tell. But what was he doing in Freaky? Suddenly my mind started to piece things together like I was doing a puzzle. Mum gets fired from a tech company. Mum moves away from tech company. Mum gets job at school in New Town. Tech companies show up to school in New Town. Which can only mean one thing. Shadow Tech must be looking for Mum. Then I remembered those weird shadows I'd been seeing all year and feeling I was being watched. What if Shadow Tech had been spying on me? Well, not me, but on my mum and her inventions. Now, I'm no expert, but if I was a tech company, I wouldn't be bothered about a kid shutter upper or a husband oh shush. I would. However, be extremely interested in a device that controlled the weather. A device like the one that is sitting in our garage. What if, and you'll have to go with me on this one, Danny, what if Shadowtech was actually not a very nice company? Mum did say that some of the people were trouble and not to be trusted. In fact, what if they were all evil? And what if evil companies realised they could use Mum's weather zapping invention to take control of the planet's weather system? Think about it. If Shadowtech could control the weather, they'd probably use the Weather Ray's weather zapping technology for their own evil ends. Now, I don't know exactly what evil end Shadowtech has yet, but if the guy in the car park who looked just like Dr. Vender was anything to go by, it's probably taking over the world or blowing up the moon or destroying all the donut bakeries. Yeah, that's probably the worst one. Ridding the world of donuts. Well, I was doodling that awesome picture. I kept one eye on the Shadow Tech guy and saw him walking around the other side of his van. But what he appeared at the back, he had changed. And I'm not talking about his clothes, I mean he had transformed. I'm not talking about a werewolf or anything. This is real life, Danny. The Shadow Tech baddie had become a shadow. At first I thought he was waiting on the other side of the van, but then I saw it. The clear dark shadow of him with no person attached to it. I've just seen proof of the shadows I've been seeing all year were real. I told you they were this guy. Don't ask me how he transformed into a shadow in the first place. I don't have the foggiest idea. But Mum used to say all sorts of weird technology was being invented at Shadow Tech. And since shadows is in their name, I guess they've got some super awesome baddie gadget that transforms them at the swish of a wand. No, wait, that's wizards. A flick of a switch. Yeah, that's more like it. A Shadow Maker 3000. That's what I'd call it. Wish I had one of those. But why was this shadow now dashing through the school car park? I watched it scurry around the car, zip across the empty spaces, and head straight towards the main entrance. I had to rub my eyes to check I wasn't imagining things, because it was super weird seeing someone's shadow when that someone wasn't there. If Shadow Tech was after my mum's invention and one of them was here in Freak at my school, then they must know that Mum works here. I had to warn her. I put my hand up and asked to go to the loo, but Miss Tinky had said, like she always says, "You should have gone before my lesson started, Frankie Brown. Hold it in." So annoying. That shadow was getting away. "Please, Miss Tinky," I begged. "No, but I'll wet myself." "If you must go." My friends were staring at me by now. They must have been wondering what I was up to, but there was no time to explain. I was ashamed to admit it, but I genuinely tried to pee my pants. Just a little bit, enough that so she could send me to Lost Property to get some new trousers. But I couldn't do it. I didn't need to wee. But when you've got to go, you've got to go, and when you don't, you just don't. I needed to get out of that classroom and fast, so I did something dangerous, seriously dangerous. Sticking out of Ronnie's jacket pocket was a can of apple fizzipom. It's his favourite drinks. Those things were loaded with sugar, and there's no way anyone's parents would let them drink that, including Ronnie's, which is why he always had one secretly stashed away in his jacket pocket so he could take a little sip when Miss Tinky wasn't looking. I could see he hasn't opened it yet, but I knew it wouldn't be long before he did, so I accidentally dropped my pencil on the floor and gave it a nudge towards Ronnie's desk with my foot. I quietly walked over to get it, and as I crouched down to pick it up, I whispered, "It's danger time." Then I secretly sipped the apple fizzblom out of Ronnie's pocket and shook it. It wasn't just any old shake, I really went for it, Danny, and when I was done, I managed to sip it back into his pocket without Ronnie noticing a thing. I sat back down in my seat and waited and got bored of waiting. So I used my special mind powers and planted an idea into Ronnie's head. I leaned back casually in my seat and said to the gang, "I'm thirsty. Is anyone else thirsty?" "Quiet, please, Frankie Brown," called Miss Tinky. Okay, it wasn't quite Jedi mind trick worthy, but it worked. A few moments later, Ronnie checked Miss Tinky wasn't looking and reached over to the can in his pocket. "Psst, you might want to hide that under your desk for a second," I whispered to Eric. "Why?" "Trust me," I said, putting my hand on his head like a shark fin. "Oh." He nodded and slid under his desk just as Ronnie slipped the can out his pocket, placed his fingernail under the ring, and boom! Let's just say Apple Fizz Potion lived up to its name. The explosion was colossal. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It was on the ceiling and everything. Most importantly, though, we were all soaked, apart from Eric. Me, Molly, Charlie, Jamelia, Susie, Kathy, and of course, Ronnie. It worked. "Go and get dried off, all of you, and then I would need you back as an explanation," Miss Tinky told us crossly, and we marched out of the classroom along with a totally dry Eric who was pretending to wring out his shirt. The second we were in the corridor, Charlie said, "What was all that about?" "It was my fault," I explained. "I shook up the can. I'm really sorry, but I had to do it. Something's happening, and I think my mum might be in danger. Remember those weird shadows that we've been seeing?" Quickly I explained what I'd been spotted out of the classroom window. Luckily, the idea of being on a top secret mission to warn my mum with a mysterious evil shadow agent was in the school to try and steal one of her inventions stopped Ronnie from boshing me on the nose, although I may have to buy him a new cam. We ran along the corridor and got into the science lab, just in time to spot a dark shadow entering the classroom and closing the door behind it. We'll have to find out what happens to the shadow and the danger gang and Mum tomorrow. Bye, guys.